24 or 75 at 6:10 CKTB, 3 minutes after 6 o'clock. Time now for Talk with Tommy. If you'd like to get a hold of Tom Garriock, shoot the breeze about sports, days gone by and what's going on today, 688-2582, that's 688-CKTB, or in the 416 area code, it's over 1-800-263-3645. A toll-free call, 1-800-263-3645, and you'll be all set up to talk with Tommy.
Anytime they're ready,
Sure.
just dial that number and we're here. We'll talk with you about sports or anything else that you want to get onto. Keep in mind the big thing tonight is Junior A lacrosse here in St. Catharines. St. Catharines and Whitby. And St. Catharines will be out trying to end the series tonight. A 4-7 job, and they seem to have Whitby on the ropes. In baseball today in the American League, Boston beat Oakland 8-1. In the bottom of the 7th, California leads New York 8-5, and Cleveland and Seattle are deadlocked at 9 in the bottom of the 8th. Detroit leads Kansas City 2-0 in the bottom of the 6th. Minnesota is up on Baltimore 3-2 in the top of the 7th, and Chicago leads Milwaukee 3-1 in the bottom of the 5th, and the Toronto-Texas game is coming up in an hour or so, and of course it's Guzman versus Nolan Ryan, and there's a little talk about the sympathy being all for Ryan, but the people who do the loudest talking for the Blue Jays say that you can't help but pull for the wondrous Ryan, but there's a time when you got to lay off and go with the Blue Jays. And I still think that tonight, those people who are going to watch that game or who are at that game, they'll be pulling for Ryan to throw an outstanding ball game and really embellish his position as one of baseball's prime pitchers, even after a considerable layoff. And he can prove that he's still got it. What's he, 45, 46 years old? You know, he should be rolling them in there. And the other guys should be having to hit with one hand and so on. But we'll just have to see what the game does tonight in Texas. In the National League tonight, or today, Atlanta is trouncing Pittsburgh 13-1 in the bottom of the 8th inning. Houston has a 1-0 lead over Chicago in the top of the 7th. Colorado and St. Louis are deadlocked at 1 in the bottom of the 5th. Los Angeles and New York are in the first inning, and nobody has managed to cross the plate with a run. San Diego and Montreal are scoreless in the first inning, and we're waiting to get some more word on that one. San Francisco and Philadelphia are scoreless in the first as well, and the one other game getting ready to start, Cincinnati at Florida, that's at 6:05. Well, they've had the warm-up pitches by now, and they're getting ready to chuck a few in earnest. Now, Rémi Bouchard of Brossard, Quebec, fired a 4-under par 68 yesterday and has given himself a solid shot at winning the CPGA Tournament Players Championship at King City, Ontario. Bouchard and American Steve Stricker are tied for the lead entering today's final at 18 holes. Both golfers are 4 under for the tournament. Richard Zokal of Richmond, BC is 1 shot off the pace. Now in the PGA, Paul Azinger holds a 1-shot lead after 54 holes of the PGA New England Classic in Sutton, Massachusetts. Azinger had a 7-under par 64 yesterday to climb to 13 under for the tournament. That's rolling them in, you know. You've got to have a little bit more than just luck to do that. And Willie Hood, we're getting ahead of ourselves here. Bobby Clampett is second, while Willie Hood, who led after 2 rounds, is among 4 golfers tied 3 shots back, but no Canadians made the cut. Fred Couples grabbed a pair of skins and $20,000 at a men's skins game yesterday in Caledon, Ontario. Ray Floyd and Jack Nicklaus each picked up 1 skin, good for $10,000, while Nick Price was blank, and the final 9 holes we're getting ready to come up with. Now, still with ladies golf, Helen Alfredsson of Sweden takes a 2-shot lead into today's final round of the LPGA U.S. Open Golf Championship in Carmel, Indiana. Yesterday, Alfredsson carded a 3-under par 69 to sit at 9 under for the tournament. Japan's Hiromi Kobayashi is alone in second. Pat Bradley and Donna Andrews are tied for third, 3 behind. Gail Graham of Kelowna, BC, is at 1 under par, while Don Jones of Lake Cowichan, BC, shot a 76 yesterday for a 3-round total of 1 over. Other top Canadian golfers include Lisa Walters of Prince Rupert, BC, 7 over. Lisa's not too good on this tournament. And Barbara Bankowski of Burlington sits at 8 over. Both of them are maybe hitting the ball with the wrong stick on occasion. Well, the CFL is underway, and last night in the CFL, Calgary Stampeders built a 23-3 halftime lead and hung on to beat BC 34-28 in front of more than 31,000 fans at BC Place. Doug Flutie was again the catalyst for the Stamps passing for 3 touchdowns, while Norm McLaughlin booted 3 field goals. Flutie's impressive outing included a first half that saw him connect on 14 of 24 passes for 262 yards. Well, that's laying it in there pretty good. The defending Grey Cup champions are now 3-0, while the Lions, who committed 11 penalties for 113 yards, are 2-2. Meanwhile, in California, the expansion Sacramento Gold Miners won their first ever CFL regular season game in beating Saskatchewan 37-26 at the Hornet Field. David Archer threw 3 touchdown passes in the first half as the Gold Miners built a 24-0 lead. Archer completed 25 of 41 passes for 394 yards in the game, while his counterpart, Kent Austin, connected on 24 of 49 passes for 385 yards. Both teams are now 1-3 on the season. But it's strange watching a game where you keep expecting to see things in that Sacramento field, because it appears that some of the officials aren't as hep to the rules as you might expect, and you keep waiting for things to happen, and somebody says, whoops, that one shouldn't have happened, and so they say, well, we'll have to do it over again, or they'll have a recount or whatever. But take my word, watch out for Sacramento. They're going to make them think before the season's over. In baseball today, at Boston, Mo Vaughn went 4 for 5 with a grand slam and tied a career high with 5 runs batted in on Sunday, powering the Red Sox to their 10th straight win, 8-1 over the Oakland Athletics. Frank Viola and Paul Quantrill combined on an 8-hitter as the first-place Red Sox improved to 11-1 since the All-Star break and won for the 25th time in their last 29 games. Oakland lost 9 of its last 10 and dropped to 2-9 on its 15-game road trip. Viola 6 and 8 allowed, 4 hits, and 5 walks in 5 1/3 innings to win for just the second time in 15 starts since April the 28th, and he ran his career record against Oakland to 15 and 8. Quantrill gave up 1 run on 4 hits over 4 2/3 innings to post his first save of the season. Andre Dawson put Boston ahead to stay in the first inning with a 2-run homer off Bob Welch, now 7 and 7. Vaughn doubled and scored on John Valentin's fielder's choice in the 4th and gave the Red Sox a 7-0 lead in the 5th when he connected off reliever Rick Honeycutt for his second grand slam of the season, and both grand slams have come against Oakland. Vaughn doubled home Mike Greenwell in the 8th to close the scoring for Boston. Mike Aldretti's RBI double in the 9th spoiled the Red Sox bid for their 9th shutout of the season, and Craig Paquette and Brent Gates each had 2 hits for Oakland, which has lost 11 of its last 13 on the road. And it is the kind of a game, for example, with Oakland, where you don't expect that kind of a breadth in comparative records. Now, the Braves beat the Pirates 13-1 at Pittsburgh. Dave Justice went 4 for 5 with 3 runs batted in, and winning pitcher Tom Glavine added a 2-run double to a 21-hit attack Sunday that powered the Atlanta Braves to that 13-1 rout of the Pittsburgh Pirates. Justice drove in 3 runs and scored twice, and Glavine, 12 and 4 now, drove in the final 2 runs of a 4-run third for a 7-0 lead. That's quite a young ball player that they got, that Glavine. Now, Greg Olson went 3 for 5, and Mark Lemke added 2 hits and 3 runs batted in, as every Braves starter had at least 1 hit. The Braves took the last 3 games of the 4-game series with the Pirates and have won 5 of their last 6 overall. The Pirates now have lost 4 of their last 5 games and 8 of 11. Jeff Blauser homered and Justice singled in a run to get Atlanta started in the first off Randy Tomlin at 3 and 7. Ron Gant had an RBI single in the second before the Braves broke the game open in the third. Terry Pendleton doubled with 1 out and scored on Justice's double. It's the old story about Pendleton. As the season wears on, it gets a little bit warmer, and that some of those old guys lose some of those kinks in muscles and things of that nature. And that's what the situation is there. And watch for Pendleton to do better as the season wears on. I don't know, I just heard a bunch of sparking and so on going on in there, but we'll be with you in just a second there, and I got one ready here for you. At any rate, before Lemke and winning pitcher Tom Glavine followed with consecutive doubles for 2 more runs, Glavine allowed 1 run on 4 hits over 7 innings to run his career record against Pittsburgh to 13 and 5. Glavine walked 4 batters and struck out none. Lonnie Smith homered in the 6th inning for the Pirates, and Jay Bell had 2 hits. Tomlin gave up 7 runs, 5 earned on 9 hits over 2 1/3 innings. Tom, it's all yours.
Well, come on, come on, come on, everybody. Wonderland's the one every day. It's such a party. Come on, it's all here at Wonderland. Hey, summer's here and all the
for funds at Canada's Wonderland. And your ride-all-day, pay-one-price passport makes Wonderland the best entertainment value around. There's over 50 rides, including 8 of the most awesome coasters, 11 fantastic shows, new Kids Kingdom, and Splashworks, the 10-acre water playground with slides, tubes, even a kid's splash pool. And it's all free with your passport. Plus, try new mini golf and new batting cages. Hurry to any Kentucky Fried Chicken now. Get coupons to save $4 off all regular Wonderland passports. That's up to $16 off for 4 people. With a deal this good, you can't afford to miss all the fun. Meet some of your favorite Blue Jays tomorrow from 4 to 8 p.m. free with park admission. And catch Duran Duran with Terrence Trent D'Arby this Thursday at Kingswood. Just $9 more plus taxes and park admission. Park open daily, 10 to 10. Come on, have all the fun at Wonderland.
It's reason to celebrate. The Ontario Lottery Corporation wants to thank you. Thanks for helping reach the $5 billion milestone. $5 billion in proceeds for worthy causes across the province. To celebrate, the Ontario Lottery Corporation and CKTB will be giving away coolers, t-shirts, towels, and a fabulous Mealy mountain bike. Be listening to the CKTB Morning Show this Monday for the sound of the celebration. Your cue to call in and win. We'll be giving away prizes all week long, but that's not all. This August 2nd, Civic Holiday Monday, the Ontario Lottery Corporation is paying your admission to nearly 50 venues across the province. In Niagara, enjoy free admission to the Niagara Historical Society Museum and historic Fort Erie. It's just a great way to say thanks. Compliments of the Ontario Lottery Corporation.
You're listening to Talk with Tommy on 610 CKTB, 688-2582 or 1-800-263-3645, and you can talk with Tommy.
We were talking about the man down in Texas who's going to pitch tonight, and for sure he's got the numbers. Ryan has been the superb pitcher of more than the decade, and they talk about having numbers. Well, he enters tonight with a 321 and 289 one-loss record, a career .526 winning percentage. The cumulative one-loss record of all teams for which he played, not counting his 2-game stint as a 19-year-old with the 66 Mets, stood at 2,068 against 2017 before last night. Now, remove Ryan's totals, and you have to be aware that it doesn't quite work exactly like this. His teams theoretically paid .503 ball without him all those years, but one can argue that he was slightly better than the average of his teams, or, well, it makes more sense. One can simply forget the whole argument and marvel at the mountains he leaves behind. More than 50 big league records, almost all of them having to do with completely individual accomplishments. The records are centered on strikeouts, on walks, on wild pitches, on no-hit and low-hit games, the kind of thing not greatly affected by the quality of one's teammates. Whiffs and wildness and overall unhittability pretty much starts with the man on the mound, and that's Ryan. And in this area, then there has never been another like Ryan, and judging by the way young arms today are nurtured and fed, there will never be another one. So you've got a chance to see him tonight. You better take a good look at him, because this may be the time. And let's hope that he throws one of his superb, superior games. I'm going to hang on every pitch. I know myself. Now, in Paris, France today, Miguel Indurain of Spain today won his 3rd consecutive Tour de France, the world's most famous cycling race, and Jamoli Abdou Japaraf Now, I can't put it all together and come out with it. That's the way they set it up for me. Won today's 20th and final stage, concluding with the traditional run down the famed Champs-Élysées in downtown Paris. The 29-year-old Indurain becomes the fourth rider in the 90-year history of the race to win 3 straight. And Canada's young man from Fenwick was back in the pack. Now the Toronto Blue Jays and the Texas Rangers hook up for the final of that 4-game weekend set in Arlington. Toronto will send hard-throwing right-hander Juan Guzman to the mound, while the Rangers will counter with the strikeout king himself, Nolan Ryan, and I'm sure that everybody will be just hanging on the ball game. Ryan, coming off a long rest, is going to go into tonight's game, and he'll be everybody's favorite for something worthwhile. France's Alain Prost won his 4th straight race on the Formula One circuit today. In taking the German Grand Prix, Prost posted his 7th win of the year, finishing more than 16 seconds ahead of Germany's Michael Schumacher. Prost finished the 230-kilometer in 1 hour, 18 minutes, averaging 134.235 miles an hour. Bill Elliott will have the pole position for today's running of the die-hard 500 NASCAR Winston Cup race in Talladega Speedway. And of course, we'll just have to wait for the final result of that one. The CFL Board of Governors is scheduled to meet today and Monday in Vancouver. One of the topics expected to be discussed is league expansion. There has been speculation that as many as 3 teams could be added for next season. At least the enthusiasm in Sacramento can be one of the boosts for whatever they're expecting to come up next season. And since they do have an advantage in travel going north-south for some of these teams, then who knows, maybe they're going to get a break out of this. And while they don't have the largest stadiums in football to see them play, at least they'll be there for the build-up for the games and the way they go. And as long as Sacramento continues to do as well as they're doing, then look out, because for sure the Americans that are backing the game are conscious of Flutie's performance, and there are other throwers that are well known, and of course that's the lion's share of the recognition they need. When they get them on that field and turn them loose, then anything can happen in the big game. But as long as lacrosse is played tonight here in St. Catharines with the Athletics, the Junior Double Blues against Whitby, I feel that Whitby coming in here down 3-0 won't put up too much of a show, and the Junior Double Blues will be there pouring rubber at the other end of the bowl, and then we'll have that series out of the way and on to the next, as they say in square dancing. They got to get them going and go from there. And we keep looking for big things from the Blue Jays, and they're plugging holes. You say, well, they're trying to fill a hole in left field. They need a left fielder, and they're looking for a pitcher. And there's talk about the veteran Frank Tanana, who had his arm rebuilt in Detroit, and he's in New York, that he can become available. and he's a pretty cutesy pitcher. Make no mistake about it. And if the Blue Jays get him, he'll win ball games for them. He doesn't have to win them all, but he has to win one here and there. And if he can win, his 50%, then maybe there's somebody else that'll win that odd ball game in 3 once in a while. And that's the biggest thing, I think, that people have to worry about in performance from the Blue Jays. Here's a guy comes back to Toronto and has been one of the ball players most talked about in Toronto right now. When he left Toronto, everybody was saying goodbye. There were hardly any waving goodbye, but he had his troubles. He was hurt and so on, and from there down the Pacific coast, back up the Atlantic coast, and what a surprise when he wound up back in Toronto, and how well he has gone since he's been in Toronto, fielding especially. You can't say anything against Tony Fernandes' performance up to now, and as far as I'm concerned, he was one of the great ball players that I saw grow up with the Blue Jays, and I thrilled to his performance. I always said he couldn't go to his left as well as Mr. Smith, but he sure could go to his right and grab him off and throw him out. And that's what we're waiting for now, is to see if Fernandes can stand up to the playoff situation, because the ball situation is tough. Every game gets progressively tougher from here to World Series time. So let's hope that things stay with him, that his strength lasts, and we have a chance to see some more good ball games. And that about wraps it up for tonight. And we can say we'll look for you next Sunday. Until then, Tom Garriock says, so long.